Alright, guys, today we're going to be reacting to the German language. It's fascinating story, diverse dialect. Let's see what's going on here. Make sure you like to subscribe. Let's jump in.
World is more spread out than most people think and full of fascinating people and dialects, some of which you have to hear to believe.
Das war eine sehr schlechte Hex. Die hat wohl nicht im Pub essen. Aufessen, einfach. Hat sie ihm eingesperrt, aber das Mädel war gescheit und hat gesagt, weißt du was, brauchen wir dem Bub noch ein bisschen Essen geben, damit er ein bisschen dicker wird, weil er ist ja sehr mager.
Now, can you guess where this speaker came from? Any ideas? Well, it's called Zipser German, and if you're really lucky, you might hear a bit of it in Slovakia or Romania, but you really have to go looking for it. It's one of those obscure German dialects in danger of extinction. That's right, it is not just giant pandas. Anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's start right back at the beginning.
Oh man, let's go. Okay.
Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Ollie Richards, and this channel is all about helping you learn a new language quickly using the power of story, so you can become fluent faster and live your best life. So the earliest stages of the German language was called Old High German, which existed roughly between the years 750 AD to 1050. Other West Germanic dialects on the continent fell under this umbrella too, and as you no doubt know from movies, this was a time of tribal kingdoms in Europe. Now check this out. The oldest surviving piece of German writing, and their very first masterpiece, it is an epic poem called The Song of Hildebrand, written in the 830s.
Wow,
Old
man, that's
High German.
old, bro.
That's right.
That is old, man. That's a lot of years. Man, German. Oof. They go way back.
It is about a tragic encounter in battle between a father and his son who does not recognize him. Well, we can read it better here. These are the opening lines that you can see right here. And amazingly, this survived air raids, it survived being looted in war, treated with chemicals, torn apart, defaced, and even almost given to Hitler. Yeah. The West Germanic languages were probably mutually intelligible until around the 8th century, because then a big event changed the way that people spoke. And this was the High Germanic sound shift. Sounds very glorious, doesn't it? It didn't just happen suddenly, of course. It was a gradual change over a few centuries. Now, first, sounds changed between vowels, then sounds changed at the beginning of words. Altogether, 9 consonants changed, and eventually there were 2 distinct dialects. That's where we ended up, High German and Low German. The changes affected Dutch too, but English was actually completely unaffected by this change. Most of the changes had become...
What does Dutch mean? Dutch is German. In German. Right? Dutch. Deutschland. Deutschland? Dutch? Deutschland? Deutschland is land of German. So Dutch is German. Let me know in the comment section. Am I making things up here?
Part now of what we call modern standard German. So what do High German and Low German mean? Well, it's not that one was a better language or anything like that. It was just geographical. Low German was spoken in the north of Germany, which is low-lying country, actually going into the part of the Netherlands too. And High German was spoken in the south of Germany at a higher elevation.
Interesting.
These days, Low German is considered an old form of the language that survived the move to a standard German, and it's mostly only older people who still speak it.
Ik heb u in Zimmer van achtens zien. Hij dreht den Kopf, blinkt den Joe und streckt sich und macht noch so. Verschaumt und lustig, zwunk mit den Beinen. Er speelt hier jungshaftig Footballspiel. Mit wat?
I don't even know what the hell.
Mit Hupenwiesbär.
What do you think? Some people describe
It
Low
sounds
German as a
German.
sort of middle language between
Yeah, this is very German, but doesn't sound like the regular German that I listen to.
Standard German and Old Dutch. But it didn't stop at the high and low dialects, though. For a while, German people spoke increasingly differently from region to region, to the extent that they battled to understand each other. They really needed to have one version of German that everyone could grasp, and so writers started working out a standard written language. But it took a few hundred years, and we've only had standard German since the 1800s. Now, standard German is based on High German phonetics, and there are 3 standard versions of this: German, Swiss, and Austrian. But while schools have to adhere to this written standard, there is actually no pronunciation standard, which is good news, right? You can get away with your own weird accent while you are learning the language. And let me tell you, there are a lot of German varieties out there. So let's see where German is spoken. German is an official language in 4 countries in the European Union: Germany, Austria, Belgium, and Luxembourg. It's also an official language in Switzerland and Liechtenstein as well. And there's a minority group in Poland too. Actually, Poland is the country with the most people learning German, nearly 2 million people.
Wow,
And
I didn't know that. Well, it makes sense. I think west side of Portland was kind of Germanic, so that makes a lot of sense.
ethnic Germans are a minority group in many other countries too. But let's check out Germany first.
Hallo, ich bin Anne und ich komme aus dem Schwabeländle. Das ist in Baden-Württemberg.
That's more German.
Schwaben, so rund um Stuttgart drumherum, oder wie wir sagen, rund um Stuttgart. Es gibt viele Diskussionen, ob Schwäbisch jetzt eigene Sprache ist oder nicht, weil eigentlich ist es bloß ein Dialekt. Aber ich denke, vor allem das alte Schwäbisch ist eigentlich eine Sprache für sich. Und ich möchte euch zeigen, warum ich das denke.
Now that's the Swabian dialect. It's pretty cool, right? If you're a complete beginner, don't worry if it all sounds the same to you. It doesn't matter. But make no mistake, even German natives can have trouble understanding people from other parts of the country.
Well, of course, you're in English, man. You're English. You're British, right? So you in the English from Wales sounds very different. The Scottish English sounds very different. In the Northern Ireland, English sounds very different. And the Republic of Ireland sounds way different. So, I mean, of course, even the South London sounds very different too. So
these are just some of the varieties of German. The
Man,
spectrum
look at
of
that.
regional variations in the country is really quite colourful, and I love this. The thing is, it's easy to think of dialects as a sort of small town quirk or something, but dialects are an important part of cultural diversity.
Yep.
In nearby countries, things can get even more confusing as well. If you go to Switzerland, for example, it might become obvious that people sound a little different. Now, have you ever heard someone speaking Swiss German?
Mm.
I don't mean Swiss Standard German that I mentioned earlier, but Swiss German is something else. It's a group of Alemannic dialects that sound something like this.
Hallo zusammen, oder wie man bei uns in der Deutschschweiz sagt, Grüezi miteinander. Ich bin Julia und ich möchte euch heute gerne etwas über meine Mutter
My German audience, do you guys understand what she's saying? Can you guys follow what she's saying? I would love to know. Do you guys can follow what she's saying? Let me know in the comment section.
Sprache, das Schweizerdeutsche erzählen und über meinen Dialekt oder mein Dialektgemisch.
Mitch with?
Darüber, wie es dazu gekommen ist und wie ich zu meiner Muttersprache stand.
It's so nice this. Many Germans say that they can't understand Swiss German varieties at all. In
Huh.
fact, TV interviews with Swiss German guests actually need subtitles. Interestingly, even with 5 million speakers, it has no written standard and is unrecognized in Switzerland in favor of the standard German. And this means that you can't learn to write in Swiss German.
Really? No way, man.
Text
That's
messaging
some BS, man. If you Switzerland is not taking advantage of this, man, you guys are in the losing position. Imagine a war. Nobody can understand what you're saying, but you guys need to just transfer information. This is the way to go, man. This is the way to go.
And so what can be done, you'd use basic German grammar rules and then just write the words the way they're said. But no spelling rules. I mean, how do you like that? Sounds quite cool, isn't it? But dialects like Swiss German are important to try and preserve because they hold so many cultural memories. Things like traditional songs people grew up with and things like that. Now, the vernacular of Liechtenstein is quite close to this version, by the way. Liechtenstein is a tiny, beautiful country
That's
right in the
beautiful,
heart
wow.
of Europe. A land that once endured savage witch hunts but now offers quite the idyllic lifestyle with peace and a stunning alpine view. Here's something you might not know. German is an official language in the South Tyrol part of Italy.
Oh,
And
wow,
that's
really?
The northernmost point.
Really? Huh.
It used to belong to Austria but was given to Italy after World War I, despite the fact that everyone spoke German. Now, speaking of Austria, I've heard travellers say the dialect in this beautiful country can be very polite compared to Germany. And just like Germany and Switzerland, Austria has tons of regional variations. The Viennese dialect, for one, can even be hard for other Germans to recognise because it has a lot of influence from other languages. But outside of Europe, German is big too. The US has 1.4 million native speakers, and in one particular state they have a rather unusual way of speaking.
Ich heiße Vernell Ehler. Ich bin 6-mal nördlich von Friedrichsburg geboren. Zu der Zeit waren normale Kinder noch zu Hause geboren.
Now, if you haven't heard of Texas German,
Yeah.
don't worry, not many people have. It is a remnant of a thriving German immigrant culture from the 1840s. There's a drive to protect this endangered variety, and one Texas university is even recording people speaking it, which is a fantastic initiative. Okay, so Germans settled in America. Not that surprising. But have you heard of this German community?
Ah, that's the one that we
Love
react in
sex.
Africa. That's the one that we react in Africa. I found it that very interesting. I did not know there were Germans in Africa.
And dunes, shipwrecks, and all things African. This country on the southwest coast of Africa makes a very adventurous place to learn German. It is Namibia. Now, 20,000 German Namibians live here, and they are descendants of German colonists. And all over the town, you'll see German schools, German churches, German street names, German beer. That's Japanese, well, whatever. German is a national language here. They call their dialect Southwest German, or Namdeutsch. And as you might expect, it has lots of peculiarities with influence from local languages. Virtually all German Namibians are also fluent in Afrikaans and can also speak English. Now, one country that you probably
Interesting.
already know has German immigrants is Russia. In the 18th century, the young Empress Catherine the Great invited Germans and other Europeans to come and settle in Russia. She made a pretty compelling case. In the manifesto she signed, they were offered free land, exemption from military service, and were allowed to keep speaking German. So, why not? Well, today there are 800,000 people with German roots still living in Russia.
Wow.
There are lots more settler stories like these in other places in the world with German communities.
Brazil?
And the main reason we talk about it
Brazil's
is to
another
show
one,
you
right?
there
I
are so
think
many
South Brazil, there's a lot of German settlers as well. So that's interesting to check.
options if you want to immerse
Argentina?
in the language you're learning. You
Chile,
really are
yeah.
never limited to just one country. So here is a big question. Why is German worth learning? Why indeed? Is it really that useful a language? Well, let's think about this. German is the 11th most spoken language in the world and the most spoken mother tongue in Europe, behind Italian, French, Spanish and English. And that's 16% of all Europeans. And all over the world, we're talking 200 million German speakers. In fact, after the US, Germany is the second most popular country to emigrate to, which is quite an amazing statistic. It's not just because it's an economic powerhouse. Germany has a high standard of living, so it offers security. No surprise then that over 15 million people are currently learning German. It's also the second most widely used scientific language. Doctors, medical researchers, engineers, these make up a lot of the students. But let's get to the fun part. German vocabulary. Now, there is a reason that I will not play Scrabble with a German, and here is that reason. German is famous
Oh my
for
god, I have to see that again. I have to see it again. Look at that thing. How did you? Why? Right? Why would you invent a word that big, man? Rechts, Schuss, Versicherungs, Gesellschaften. Schwasten. Why, man? I just, this is the side of Germany. I'm like, why, man? Why you have to complicate your life like this?
German is famous for ridiculously lengthy words. As Mark Twain said, some German words are so long that they have perspective.
Huh.
But before we judge them, there is a method to the madness. So check this out. If we wanted to say claustrophobia in English, it might be the idea of space plus fear. So we add space and fear and we get a different word, claustrophobia. In German, you can just add the two words together. Platzangst gives you Platzangst. So you see how it works now? Pretty logical, right? Now, okay, I know that I used a short example, but you see my point. Why borrow from Greek and Latin to describe something when you can just glue your own nouns together? Quite cool, right? And that's all it is. Those super long words are simply compound words. Mind you, if you're having an allergic reaction and your mouth is swelling up, you might want to know the sign language for this particular word for food intolerance. Yeah, I'm not going to try saying that one. The reason for the long words is that German doesn't allow you to describe nouns with other nouns. So where in English you'll just write a bunch of nouns to describe the final noun, Germans leave out those unnecessary spaces and form one
One word.
out of it. If you have trouble understanding them, just try to think of them all as separate little words glued together. For example, in English we say birthday present, two separate words. German combines them into one.
Birthday present.
Geburtstags and Geschenk. Geburtstagsgeschenk. But it is not all difficult compound words.
Oh,
There are
okay,
lots
that
of
makes sense.
easy words
I
as
mean,
well to get
if
started
it
with. These ones-
if it is the nature of the language to understand, however, even seeing it from first hand, it might be because I'm a Spanish speaker and an English speaker as well, that it will be very convoluted and a lot of information at once. Well, it probably because that's how, could be the reason why their society is very advanced. You can say that. Although you can say the same thing with the other languages like French and English and Spanish. Very well successful nations. Why Germany has to do this? Makes no sense.
ones you can see here on the screen, which really are nice and easy. There's one lovely word that German voted as their most beautiful word of all, Geborgenheit.
Geborgenheit.
There isn't an exact English translation, but it describes an
Geborgenheit.
intensely comforting feeling, like a moment of unadulterated peace and happiness.
Wow.
And if you want to feel unadulterated happiness, then you should like this video, subscribe to the channel,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
turn on notifications because I have a lot of
Hey, Oli
comforting language videos
Richard.
still
Oli Richard.
coming as well. Now, speaking of comfort, it's kind of weird word to be using in a German video. I want to reassure you about something else. You can stop worrying about all those strange letters that German has because there's only 4 of them. Here they are. So it's not that alarming, really. This one here is just like a double S, and you pronounce it like a S in song. And the dots on these 3 here just mean a slightly different pronunciation of those vowels. They're called umlauts, and umlauts mean it means a round sound.
Yeah, it's like a transitional vowels, I call them. A transitional vowels. Going from A to E. That A, that's right there. You see that transitional vowel? That's what you use. A, E, and you put them all together, transition from A to E smoothly. You're gonna have a very nice transitional sound. A, that's the sound. Transitional sound.
One of the Grimm brothers actually came up with this. Yeah, the same guy who wrote the fairy tales, you know. See, I told you German was interesting. The rest of the German alphabet is
interesting.
exactly like English, and pronunciation is pretty rigid for the most part. Once you know all the different sounds, it will be the same no matter what word you say.
Wow.
What most people find intimidating, though, is the grammar. And German has 3 genders, masculine, feminine, and neuter, and the case forms for each of them are also different. Have a look.
Yep. Okay, hold on,
And
hold
that is just for the
on.
definite articles, because definite
Way too
articles
fast, man.
and the case forms for each of them are also different. Have a look.
Nominated. Okay. Accusative. Dative. Genitive. Plural. The, das. Neutral, das. The. Oh my god. There. Then. The. Das. The. Them. There. Them. Then. This. There. Yeah. This is more. You have to go to more inside baseball to understand this. So you have to memorize this. You have to memorize this.
And that is just for the definite articles, because, yeah, unfortunately, there are more. And this will probably be one of your biggest challenges in German. And in the description below, I put a link to one of my most popular articles on decoding and understanding the German cases that you might like to check out. But you can gradually build up your understanding of these tricky grammar areas through practice and exposure. And look, immersion is always the key to this. I can't emphasize enough how important immersion and context is. I don't believe on focusing too much on grammar rules because you just end up tying yourself in these knots. And if you struggled with German grammar in the past, then I've got something cool for you in just a minute, so stay around. Now, if you still need convincing that German is amazing, then let me remind you of what German minds have come up with in the past. Sigmund Freud transformed the study of psychology. Albert Einstein revolutionized our understanding of science. And then there is this.
Yeah, I was about to say their music is amazing. We're not talking only Baroque period, even the Renaissance music, all the way to 20th century. Their music is amazing. I'm a Russian lover, music lover. I love Russian music. But when it comes down to the Baroque, classical, early Romanticism, and late Romanticism, Germany is in top of the list. Germany is in top of the list. But then you have the great counterpoint composers like Bach and his sons, and even Mozart, and Joseph Haydn, all these great composers that are from Germanic roots. You cannot beat that, man. You can't. Felix Mendelssohn, Robert Schumann, Franz Schubert. I can go on and on and on and on and on. I cannot put this. I'm sorry, guys.
Amazing. And to think that Bach is just one of many master composers who were
Yeah,
German.
I think it has to do with the
German
German
language even gave us
language.
our
Yeah,
first printed book. It was the Gutenberg press that
Gutenberg,
was invented
yeah,
in Germany,
Gutenberg
initially to
press.
print the Bible. Martin Luther is the guy who made that happen. At the time, there was only a written standard for German, because since everyone wanted a copy of the printed Bible, people everywhere learned this form of German by reading it, and eventually it became the spoken standard too. Incidentally, the first magazine in the world was also printed in German, and today 10% of the world's books are published in German. So anyway, enough compelling reasons to learn German, I'm sure you will agree, but earlier I mentioned that I'm not a fan of learning a language by focusing on the grammar, and if you've tried to learn German in the past, then you may well be thinking, Ollie, what are you smoking? I need that grammar. But look, the best way to learn a rich language like German is with a method that uses stories, so that you can enjoy the language and learn the grammar naturally the way that native speakers do.
Yeah, and not only that, it can also help your IQ and intelligence, and also it's a great way to just build your muscle brains. Very good video. I would not expect to just enjoy a video like this. This guy is very well spoken. He knows his stuff too, and the setup and everything is top notch. Top notch. Wow. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I think, when it comes down to Germans' way of living, has to do a lot with the language. I think, and all that just simply just spread through all the avenues, whether it's arts, science, religion, and cultural aspects. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I would love to hear you guys' opinion. In the meantime, guys, I will see you in the next one.